Commander Shepard has been recovered. The Lazarus Project will proceed as planned.
Welcome to the Lazarus Project podcast, a Mass Effect podcast discussing its characters, lore, theory, and opinion. The podcast is recorded live in the Poppy 54 Gaming Discord server. Come join us there to listen to the raw, unedited version, usually. All the details you need can be found in the show notes. My name is Kraig, and joining me today is Tim.
Hello.
In this episode, we are going to be giving our predictions for N7 Day.
So, do you want to start? Shall I? To be honest with you, I had a thought about N7 Day. I was like struggling to come up with some ideas of what I think might actually be on there, because I think it's a bit too early in development for trailers and that. I mean, we did get that Liara one, didn't we? We got that Liara teaser a couple of years ago now.
Yes,
that wasn't last year, was it?
No, it wasn't even N7 Day where they released it either. It was it was the Game Awards, I think. I think it was the Game Awards. I mean, someone can correct me if they know specifically, but I don't know. I think it was, or it could have just been the Dragon Age trailer that was during that. But yeah, I don't think they released that trailer during N7 Day. So if you wanted to. I'm thinking maybe if we started with predictions and then kind of edged into what we kind of more want to happen rather than what we predict. Like in an ideal world, what we would want.
Yeah, that'd be good. Just double checking, because is there any echo on this? Because I probably should have my headphones on, really.
I'm not hearing any echo.
Just let me know if the sound's okay. And Kate's just going to listen tonight. That's fine. Yeah, that's no problem. And the sounds good. Fabulous. Thank you. Last year's footage was the hidden soundbite. Yeah, I quite enjoyed that, to be honest. I played around with the sound. And I fast forwarded it and I rewind it and I kind of reversed it. And by the end of it, I must have spent a good 2 hours on it. And I still haven't got a clue what it was.
I'm honestly curious to know if it's a segment from the game itself. Like if it's either a segment of the game that they're just going to sort of insert when the game's further along, or if they are generally doing some early voice lines, but I mean, I think that's a little less likely. But yeah, I would be interested to know if that's actually going to be a part of the game, or if that's literally just a promo soundbite. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I should imagine it probably just a promo soundbite. I don't think. I mean, if you remember, was it a TV advert? That Mass Effect 2 had that scene with them all shooting. I think it was on the Krogan homeworld of Tuchanka, where they were running and shooting and flipping over, and it looked all like a massive big fight with them all. And that wasn't in the game; it was just for promo stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it would be far-fetched to expect another soundbite. Because it's not like it would take too much to do.
Giant Burger says, I'd like to hear some of the OST and see a glimpse of a weapon or two snuck into something. Yeah, that some of the music. I mean, it's probably a bit too early for that as well. I think more along the lines of what you're saying, Craig, is it's going to be more of like a sound bite and more, because they've kind of built it up now, haven't they, with
Yeah.
the mystery of the Geth.
Because if you think about it as well, it would also be a little bit strange if they just did another poster. Because it's kind of basically what you were saying. You know, they've built it up, so it would be strange to kind of scale it down to being a poster again.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But do you imagine like a worst case scenario where we're just going to get out of the way right now? Do you imagine a worst case scenario where we get absolutely nothing?
I think it's possible, to be honest. Everyone's all excited about it and that, but I mean, like last year, there wasn't a great deal.
But
maybe
from a PR standpoint, it would look pretty bad if they didn't.
Yeah.
You know, if I was in the, I don't know if they've got a PR department, but if they've got a PR department, if you look at like that announcement that they did about how many layoffs there are, you'd want to install some faith, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it was on, I think it was Mass Effect news Twitter feed, highlighted that they were advertising for a lead programmer for the Austin branch to work on Dragon Age and Mass Effect. So they're still hiring
for Dragon Age. For Dragon Age, though.
Dragon Age.
Dragon Age is but Dragon Age is supposedly
it?
playable. Yeah, it's supposedly playable from start to finish. So that just doesn't sit right with me.
But yeah, that's been in alpha for what, the best part of 8-9 months now, maybe a bit longer. So unless they're thinking further ahead, but
it's not like they haven't just been sat around doing nothing for 8 months, though, have they? So
let's see some more concept art for locations. That I think is a very big possibility, actually.
Yeah.
Because there was wasn't there a lot of concept art last year with the places like what looked like Omega and some of the upside down triangle things with
is there a way we can bring that up? Because
Andromeda
I don't
kind of
that.
structures.
Do you know where that was? Where that was that on
which one? Sorry,
the concept art.
Yeah, see if I can find it.
What about how does everyone feel about a title? Do you think there's any chance of a title?
No.
I suppose the real thing is, I mean, yeah, we don't really know how far along in writing they are or were. But even if they're not finished with the writing, if they have the idea and they're desperate enough to get something out for people. But I mean, I would be more worried if they didn't have like an idea for what it was going to be, for what the game was going to be.
There's I say Dragon Age again, that only just received its Dreadwolf title, wasn't it? That was what, about a year ago?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Giant Burger's got an interesting take. Can I bring that up on screen?
yeah.
It was odd footage because it was clearly Ilium, but there were Omega logos on the sign from the bar in Andromeda on the buildings. Huh. It was clearly Ilium, but there were Omega logos. That's unusual. When you say the bar in Andromeda, though, Do you mean the bar that was on board the Nexus? Because, I mean, this is maybe a little bit far-fetched, and I mean, I say a little bit. It is far-fetched, but they say about like going back to the Milky Way, and I kind of at least want some closure on Andromeda, and it would be kind of interesting if they found a way to bring the Nexus back to the Milky Way somehow, or bring some of the characters back to the Milky Way. I don't know why or how they would go there, but I'm not sure.
Why would they want to bring it back though?
You mean why would they want to bring Andromeda characters back?
Do you mean like bringing the characters back from Andromeda back into?
Yeah, just to kind of offer some kind of closure, but I suppose from a storytelling standpoint, that's a hard thing to justify.
Yeah.
Have you found it?
No.
Oh,
I've found it, but I don't quite know how to share it on the screen. Oh, here we go. Oh, there was also the one of if I stick this up on screen. There was that one, wasn't there? The relay, which looked like a human design relay, like a Cerberus kind of logo colors. But didn't Gamble? He said that because Shinobi on Twitter had said that this looks like a human. He had a prediction about it, and Gamble had replied to him saying, "No, you're wrong with that."
Well, hopefully it wasn't. Hopefully they didn't say, "Oh, it's a relay," because I mean, it's got to be a relay, hasn't it?
Yeah. What else is on there? That's the one I was thinking of. The upside down. Is it upside down? See, I thought the whole picture might have been upside down, and that they kind of presented it to trick you. But I'm not overly sure on that one.
Do you see them bringing shipbuilding and new team character screen? I mean, I personally would really like to see a new team character screen. I mean, it would be nice to see some kind of like middle ground, I think. I mean, the thing with that screen is it does feel a little bit gamey, and I think with how like immersive games are becoming like over the years now, like I think you need a way to pick your characters but also not break the immersion too much. So I don't know if there's a way they can create some kind of cutscene where characters step up or something and you choose them from there, like in real time, rather than just have something pop up. You know what I mean? Just have like a blue background and you pick between these characters who are just not moving or anything.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but I do think there is really something to having, like, you wouldn't. I just feel like you might take it as that relay is just a new relay that they've built because of the relays being destroyed, but we've seen the original relays being fixed. So that new relay, that's got to be for a specific purpose.
That was it, wasn't it? I think I'm pretty sure he said something like Mass Relay 7 or something, and he said, "No, you're wrong on what the MR7 stands for."
I still think the R stands for relay. I could have sworn Mu relay is something, isn't it? Is there a Mu relay? Or am I making that word up? Mu.
The Mu relay. That's where you travel to, wasn't it? In the original Mass Effect, that's the one that got lost.
Okay.
What
was that about it being lost? Was that in a side mission?
No, it's
No, that was the one
the
that took you to damn, I can't even remember the name of the planet. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, no, I know, yeah. So, but it couldn't mean Mu Relay. Because I mean, do we even know what the Mu in Mu Relay stands for? Does it have some kind of translation into another language, or? Because if it's Mu Relay 7, then whatever Mu means if we have a definition.
Just post this one up.
I would like to see side missions with meaning. Yes. I tell you what, like, I know, Tim, I know you said we'll probably end up talking about The Witcher, but The Witcher is a good example of good side missions in a good story. Like, there are some really good side missions in The Witcher, in my opinion. And I think if you can have side missions with like genuine moral arguments in them as well, like, of the quality of the loyalty missions, just regular missions that are as good as those loyalty missions, then you could just get lost in that game and it would be spectacular, I think. So is this the Ilium looking one then, yeah?
Yes, this is the Ilium looking one. I mean, those there is definitely Ilium kind of structures that you see on Ilium. Or is it Thessia? Thessia kind of structures.
We've never seen towers glowing like that, though, have we?
No.
And I don't know if I don't know if there's like if when they drew this up there was any kind of function of what they would be. But like a couple of things that come to mind for me is like some kind of beam that takes you up to a ship or something, or beam that takes you somewhere, or like a shield, like it produces some kind of shield around the city, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's possible, like a big kind of force field thing, that like a dome kind of shield generator or something.
Yeah, but then instantly it becomes like a new planet, I think. Then like you're pretty much confirming that it's a different planet when you have that, because why would you need one unless you were really really pessimistic about another invasion happening or something? Like, I would imagine it would be an atmosphere thing, like you need it to protect you from death outside of the dome or whatever.
That's,
I mean,
clearly,
yeah, that's Vessia.
Yeah.
That's Vessia as well, I think.
Yeah, I think all those were. Yeah, it's possible that all those are Thessia then, isn't it?
Hmm.
Sorry, I'm kind of going a bit off topic now, aren't we?
Is this genuine? So those are genuinely from the new game, are they?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, this was posted in November of 22.
Okay.
So about a year ago.
I mean, seems reasonable to assume that we just go back to Thessia then.
Weren't they supposed to be kind of linking the two together?
What, you mean linking the Andromeda Galaxy?
Yeah, so I mean that was the theory, wasn't it? Or with that with the trailer having both Andromeda and the Milky Way galaxies in the same thing, and Campbell saying that it was intentional.
Yeah, but
kind of like, get a feeling that you're kind of starting off in the Milky Way and you can end up in Andromeda.
But it was going from it went from Andromeda to the Milky Way, because some people were saying that it just means that they're going away from Andromeda and focusing on the Milky Way. But yeah, on my side of things, it's more just wishful thinking that they do still implement Andromeda somehow. Because, I mean, you know, answering the DLC in a book is one thing, but answering like all those other questions about what's happening with the rest of the Ket and what happened to the Andromeda companions and the Ryder twins, answering those questions in a book just doesn't feel right.
No, it shouldn't have been like that.
But that's why I think that relay's got to come into it somehow. Like, I just feel like they're going to come up with something really out there, like that relay is the key to get to Andromeda or something. You know, maybe they've used remnants of old Reaper technology to create this relay. I don't know. But then there's also the question of it looking Cerberus-like in its design. But because that was another thing, people were suspicious, or at least they were theorizing that, you know, it looked Cerberus-like because it was kind of yellow and white, and then you're kind of wondering if Cerberus are the villains in that scenario, or if they're just kind of, I don't know. I think it would be quite interesting to bring Cerberus back, but have them turn over a new leaf.
You mean like be the Alliance's poster child kind of new?
Well, yeah, maybe. Or
so if on N7 Day they dropped a teaser trailer that had maybe just like the Cerberus logo pop up or something like that, how would that make you feel?
I don't know if that would make me think, oh yeah, this is definitely true, but like it would because it's a bold assumption to make. Like, if Cerberus is coming back, the first thing you would think is they're coming back as a villain, right? Yeah.
Hollywood Guy says, introduce a new species, and will Cerberus be the villain, or will it be the Leviathan? I don't think it'd be the Leviathan. I think they're far too much like the Reapers.
Yeah.
It'd be just a repeat of the same.
But at the same time, they're a villain that makes the most sense. As much as you hate to say it, they're a villain that makes the most sense. And what if, right, like you, I don't know how you would feel about this, but what if there was some kind of mystery, right, where the Alliance was starting to behave like Cerberus? They were doing the kind of things that Cerberus would do. And you have no idea why, but then you find, this is going to sound a lot like Mass Effect 1 now, but it turns out they're being affected by Leviathan. And then you're essentially fighting your allies whilst trying to solve this mystery or get to Leviathan. I don't know. Because obviously it does just sound like Saren, but you're being very quiet, Tim.
Well, I mean, technically, they were. I mean, wasn't Admiral Kahuko kind of doing some shady work anyway, wasn't he, for the Alliance? I don't think they've been squeaky clean their entire time anyway.
No, they haven't.
Carla's here. Nice to see you. Make sure you go, anybody that's watching, make sure you go check out Carla's channel. Absolutely fantastic Mass Effect videos that she's got on there. The latest one was a big timeline, I think she did on that. So, yeah, make sure you check that out. And again, Carla, if you want to jump on, you can more than welcome to come join us and share your thoughts for N7 Day, what your predictions might be.
I do kind of I completely see where you're coming from, Kate, to be honest. Like, Cerberus isn't the Reapers by any means.
It's going to have to be a downgrade from the Reapers, though, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. I think the biggest problem with the villain in Andromeda is they were just trying too hard to do something that was better than the Reapers. Like, I know you still didn't get to the end of Andromeda yet, Tim, but they did something at the end that was like,
I am working on it.
they did something at the end that was like, right, I'm going to be this powerful, and it was like, you're just trying to be worse than the Reapers, and we're not buying it. Like, I do love Andromeda for different reasons, but the villain was just no. But yeah, it was to me that villain in Andromeda was kind of a case of like, can you really one up the Reapers after all, sort of thing.
I mean, it doesn't have to be galaxy ending.
No,
I mean, they built an entire galaxy. I mean, it is like the Star Wars of our time, isn't it? They've got all these different species. They've got all these different planets. They've got all these different factions. You can have a more scaled down conflict. I mean, right at the very start, Anderson, he says to you, he wants you to go and find out what's going on with the Normandy and that, but you can't, be seen to be sending in fleets and stuff because he doesn't want to start a war with the Terminus systems. So let's have a war with the Terminus systems. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be, this is going to be wiping everybody out, but it could change, depending on how, the battle goes or the war goes. It could change the complete landscape of, of the galaxy.
Yeah. It would be interesting. I don't know. Do you reckon there's a possibility they do something else with AI?
Oh yeah, definitely. With because obviously they brought the Geth back, haven't they?
Yeah.
Which kind of feeds into the whole ending problem that they've got.
Mm.
Because
but if we heard the voice of one Geth. We don't know that, and I'm going to use the technical term here. We don't know that all the platforms are coming back.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, on that poster, the word dead Geth, wasn't there? And the crater was designed to look like a Geth. So they're going to have a big part in it, I think.
Although that one Geth being alive does confirm that the network is still around, the Geth network. Like, there could be easily more than one program in that Geth. And if there's more than one program in that Geth, there can be more Geth. Yeah.
Giant Burger says another Saren doesn't sound bad thinking about it. Lead into it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna make a new game, and I'm gonna reference Doctor Who here just to annoy Tim because he hasn't seen it, but Doctor Who is basically making a comeback by leaning into its past. They're leaning into when Doctor Who became, big again. When it made its big comeback in the early 2000s, they had the David Tennant come into it, and well, they had a different actor before, but David Tennant really popularized it, and then he went away, and now they're bringing him back because Doctor Who's kind of going through it was going through a very long rough patch. But leaning into that nostalgia isn't the worst thing in the world if you then use it to open doors to something new. Like, you say, okay, we're going somewhere different, but we're gonna reassure you. We're gonna start with something familiar, so it doesn't just make you uneasy as soon as you delve into it. because people are going to be like, they're going to be cautious. They're going to be like, I can't think of the word. They're going to be
wary.
Yeah, they are going to be wary. They're just because of what happened with Andromeda. And, whilst I do like Andromeda, not everyone does. I mean, enough people didn't.
Carlos says if they do another trilogy, expect this game will be more subtle introduction to everything, the smaller threat, rebuilding the galaxy, kind of like Saren in Mass Effect 1. I don't think they'll do another trilogy. I think the Shepard story is going to be a kind of a one-off, because wasn't Andromeda supposed to be the start of a new trilogy? But because of the reception, they shelved it, and then obviously all those plot points didn't get answered.
I suppose that's a very interesting question.
So I don't think they're going to put themselves in that position again. I think it's going to be just a singular story.
But as a business, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to not keep? I mean, maybe there's a way that they could do it where the story does have enough finality to it, but you've got little things that could lead into whatever the sequel is if it's successful and well received enough to warrant a sequel. Like you have something about maybe if it's just a side mission, or if it's just a few missions where you've got, I don't know, tensions rising with Batarians, and and then in the next game it's a war with the Batarians. That's just an example, but you kind of slightly leave doors open, but you don't do the whole end credit scene thing, where you say this is what's coming and leave questions unanswered.
I mean, I suppose that's what they've kind of did with the trilogy, but the overall story, I mean, you're looking 5 years to tell the story, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
I think
I don't really believe that Mass Effect 1 was. I don't think it could have really just been the one game.
No,
because it literally ended with Shepard saying the Reapers are coming. It's a pretty major thing to just leave it on. I see what you're coming from,
but I think they should go down the Dragon Age route, if I'm honest, where each game is its own story, but then you've got the world. You build the world up around it, so you can have through threads of events and things that happen, but each game is its own distinctive story. I suppose there would be no harm if your character doesn't die. You could still import your character, and they could still, you could still have your trilogy-esque adventure, but they wouldn't actually relate to each other, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I really do. I love the idea of just doing a different protagonist in every story, and just because in Dragon Age as well, they also kind of separated each game by either time or by just location. With Origins, it was Ferelden. I hate that we're going into Dragon Age, like we said we would. we had Ferelden during the Blight, and then we had Kirkwall, which was over in the Free Marches. Yeah, that was way far away from Ferelden. And then we had another time jump, which separated Inquisition. So you could say that there are consequences to this, that, and the other, and have everyone's choice matter, but you could also ignore certain things that were too major, so you're not limited by how you can tell the story. If that makes sense. That would be a way to approach it with Mass Effect. Go to a different location or a far off reach of the galaxy, further away in the Milky Way, and have another character going on another journey and doing something completely different. That could be a way to do it. And I don't think bringing Shepard back is the way to do it as well.
I think it's a safer way of doing it, so that you don't
Yeah.
get halfway through a storyline and then your funding's cut.
Yeah.
And so, the story never gets finished. You end up like a Half-Life 3 situation or something.
I heard the same thing happen with Deus Ex. Never
Yeah.
actually made it far with Deus Ex, but
Kate disagrees. Mass Effect's special because it's continual storyline decisions that carry over. I'd like to see another trilogy personally, but yes, depends on the A sport.
But then you kind of we all hate that. We all hate that which ending of Mass Effect 3 is, that whole what is canon debate though. There was such a major decision,
I think you can still have that because you have your own personal story, but it's the more having one game feed into a second game is fine because you can have your decisions and your permutations and stuff. But then when you've got 3 games, you've got decisions from the first game carried into the second, carried into the third. And then you've got decisions from the second to the third, and you've got decisions from the first to the third. So it's a lot of work to try and just match up your decisions. And obviously you're going to upset people because some things get left unresolved or some things don't quite turn out as you want. Or I think it's a lot for the developers rather than just focusing on the one game like Witchers or Baldur's Gate 3, where you can have a decision and then a few hours later you can have the payoff to that decision in the same game rather than having to match it up 3 games later sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's why it's one of the reasons why I think we won't ever see a trilogy like that again. I think it's going to be a one-off because it's a lot of work to try and to manage.
That is a really good. You know what? I think that's a really good way to do it though, because then you do have that choices matter sort of feel to it. But just the fact that you've got to if you make any game that does continue from Mass Effect 3, you're already tied down by literally every character could be dead. Literally every familiar character could be dead. Like even Liara. Even though we've seen Liara, she could still be dead. I've killed Liara.
Nope, she has very thick plot armor on her.
Yeah, the developers love her too much.
The Carla says that I do hope Mass Effect doesn't become a Dragon Age clone with its game structure. I think with them being one sci-fi and one high fantasy, hero fantasy, I think they are two. They're separated quite well in the game worlds. I don't see why you couldn't have the Mass Effect universe and everything that goes on in with it, and not have to have that single one story that it just tells that one story in that universe and that's it. You can't have separate stories in separate games, but staying within in the galaxy in that.
I would like to pose a question then, because this just made me think that comment kind of made me think, because of obviously, Dragon Age structure is to do a different protagonist in every game. Out of everyone in the chat, who would like to see Shepard come back? That's what I want to know.
Giant Burger has a very good example of and another problem that they've got as well. Tatunka comes to mind. The number of scenes you can get out of the genophage cure was insane. It must have taken forever, which also feeds into the next Mass Effect game. Because did you cure it? Did you not? Are you going to have millions of Krogan in the galaxy now? Are they going to be extinct? How are they going to?
But it's not that one. It's not that difficult, Tim. You just, first of all, you don't go to Chunka, and you just because not all the Krogan in the universe are dead. You know, because in that scenario where you sabotage the genophage cure, most of them think that it's been cured. And whilst there may be some tensions or some speculation about it not having worked, you could just have that as part of a plot point. Like there's tension with the Krogan because of what you did, but they're not sure if you actually did sabotage or if anyone did sabotage it. They just know that there's something wrong, and they're not like the brightest, race in the universe. And you just have that as like your consequence. You're not on as good terms with the Krogan because they think something might be wrong, but they're not sure. And then you have that continuation, and there's enough Krogan in the universe to still have Krogan show up if it's been sabotaged.
But then aren't you going to upset the people that have cured it and wanted to see little baby Krogans?
Well, then you have little things on the side, like you add an extra side mission where you have to rescue a baby Krogan, or you have to, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
I've got some answers to your question. Giant Burger, hands up, because they want him back.
Okay.
Carla says, I don't think they'll bring him back, Shepard, but I want it even if it's not realistic.
Okay.
Other guy wants Shepard back.
Oh, okay.
Kate says, I think if they bring Shepard or the OG cast, it'll be not as playable characters. It'll be more of a mentor role, similar to what they did with Hawk in Dragon Age Inquisition.
See, as much as I'm not a fan of bringing him back, if bringing him or her back, but bringing Shepard back as a mentor, to me, does sound like a good way to do it if you are going to do it. Because then, I don't know, I do like what they did with Hawk in Inquisition. Like, and also that whole situation where Hawk could die as well. I'm not saying you bring Shepard back just so they would die again, because that would just be even more ridiculous. And then what happens? Like, if we're bringing Cerberus back, we do another Lazarus project, and then it's a vicious circle.
If they're going to bring somebody back to mentor, it's got to be Garrus. It's got to be Garrus.
Unless he's dead.
Of any polls that I've ever done, Garrus has always come out on top.
Unless he's dead.
I'm surprised that he didn't have Plotar on the amount of love that he gets.
Another character who died and came back, basically. Like, he got mowed down by that gunship.
I'm sorry if I'm going to butcher your name here, but Peljat says, I like to bring Shepard back, but I feel like they'd only work as a playable character. See, Shepard's story's done. I think it would undermine, if they brought Shepard back, it would just undermine the sacrifice that they put themselves through at the end of Mass Effect 3. Like, okay, there's a new threat now. I'll dust myself off. Right, come on, off we go.
Oh man, Shepard dying as the Easter egg. That's just so hilarious. Like, after the whole dying and coming back thing, just dying for the sake of an Easter egg. Love it. But okay, another question then is, does anyone think characters... Oh, hang on. Hollywood guy's saying something about Andromeda anyway.
Oh, sorry. I just popped this one up from Carla.
Right.
I don't see the doing another Hawk situation because it wasn't well received. There's a ton of criticism about Hawk not being their Hawk. I imagine that Shepard would be worse.
But do you not think that maybe their systems have changed? Because, I mean, Inquisition, when did we say that came out? Like
2017, wasn't it?
I could have sworn it was earlier than that. Because I thought it was 2013, and then I found out it was 2015.
No, 17 was Andromeda, wasn't it?
No, 16 was Andromeda.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it was 2014 then.
Yeah.
Inquisition.
Yeah.
2014. Yes, it's been 10 years
Yeah.
since.
So
Almost 10
I'm
years.
just saying, what if they had developed a system, or if they could develop a system where it would be able to transfer, all of the dialogue choices, or just your renegade / paragon meter or whatever, and make your character dictated by that, like your voice lines or Shepard's voice lines as a non-playable character would be dependent on how renegade or how paragon you are, because then it would, because actually by the sounds of it, from just saying it, it doesn't sound like that should be a hard thing to do. I mean, in terms of the extra voice lines, sure, but
And in regards to the Hawk situation, though, I thought, isn't that just because they moved from Unreal to Frostbite, so everything didn't quite look the same?
I really like Talking Inquisition.
And they've gone back to Unreal Engine for the next game. Is that what they said?
Yeah, I would be interested to know what the criticism was. I mean, I do get having to create your character from scratch is not a fun thing to do.
No, and if you do it, you have to do it before you met them as well, which I thought was kind of ruins the surprise, doesn't it?
Mm.
You can do that with Shepard. You could do that with Shepard. If they were to bring him back, they could have Shepard turn up with the helmet on and talk to you through the helmet for a bit, and then you could recreate your Shepard when they took the helmet off.
But, and even though I'm not really on board with it in general, if they bring Shepard back, I think they need to show how he survived or how she survived. They can't just have surprise, I'm alive, reveal. Like in that one scenario where you see Shepard breathing, I think we need to see somebody recovering the body, somebody, dare I say it, resurrecting Shepard, like the Lazarus Project.
Oh, I do like this. I like this idea. Okay, it says Garrus as a mentor would be great. Maybe Rex and Garrus, bad cop, good cop style mentors.
See, there we go. That's the next game. With just Rex and Garrus, buddy cop duo solving crimes. I would play it.
Definitely down for that one.
Certainly having the Mass Effect Legendary Edition now on PC, Xbox Series X, and PS5. They've made it easier to carry over characters. Yeah. And also, I mean, as much as it's not really heavily used, like Tim, you said that Mass Effect's got its own version for the Dragon Age Keep.
Yeah, it's the archives, which I didn't think it got a lot of like coverage.
Forget Game make that movie. Yeah. Sorry.
You pop on the screen if you see him.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's because sometimes you want to put up your own ones, so I don't want to, I want to pick up the spotlight. But if you're going to do buddy cop, like crime, it's got to be a TV show. Buddy cop crime TV show. And then what you do is you add Tim's A-Team intro that he created. What would it be called, though? Stories from the Citadel? I don't know. I'll take some thinking. Anyone's got any cool names, feel free to throw them out there. A Blasto 80s style action movie. I mean, sorry. I kind of skipped over you there, Carla. Sorry. But Blasto.
Is he Rex rebuilding the Krogan? I think he'd be dead. I think, like Gareth says, that he needs to be watching his food. I think there would, even if he's getting all the clans together. I don't. I think there's enough bad blood there that somebody would have taken him out.
Yeah,
They're not kind of the forgive and forget kind of race, are they? They're not going to be happy with.
I think it would be a huge sin though, to after making the effort to keep Rex alive, to then just have Rex get killed anyway.
Off screen.
That would be worse. But probably for the safest bet is to just avoid Rex, I think, unfortunately. Unless you just have Reeve step in for everything. But Reeve is not going to do the same stuff as Rex.
There we go. Hollywood guy says the Krogan will be the villains. I think you've got it onto a point there, to be fair.
Yeah.
If you do you're it.
Yeah. I could so see that. Like,
what was it, 1,000 babies they can have a year? Is it a year or a month?
I don't know, it's a ridiculous amount though. But that's an idea that works if you cure them and if you sabotage them. If you sabotage them, a whole lot more of them are going to hate you, and I'm pretty sure all of the Krogan won't be on your side. But if you cure them, you've got some, I think, that would still want to start a war, but then I think you would have some that don't. I do feel some sympathy and some hope for some of them. Like,
but in the DLC, the Citadel DLC, Shepard asks Rex, he goes, "Oh, what are you doing here?" He goes, "Oh, I'm just butting heads with the council about living space." That's exactly how the rebellion started. That's exactly how they've kind of set that up perfectly. You've cured them. They're already getting cross with the council about.
You're being a bit space prejudiced there, Tim, though, because the humans butt heads with the council all the time. Shepard butts heads with the council all the time. Doesn't mean
the humans can't reproduce Krogans on the scale that well, they can't reproduce Krogans anyway. But they can't reproduce babies on the scale that Krogans can.
Oh, who knows? Next Mass Effect, maybe you can roam as a Krogan.
But I mean, if you think about it logically, they've done the Geth. They were the enemy in the first game, weren't they? And then you had the collectors for the second game. And then you had Cerberus for the third game. So that you're going to need some cannon fodder. You're going to need somebody to shoot. And I can't see him going back to any one of those three that they've already done.
I'm not sure I approve of you calling Krogan cannon fodder, Tim. They made mistakes.
But you can't just turn up on a planet and there'll be like nothing to shoot at, can you?
No, but they deserve more credit than cannon fodder for how good of a warrior they are.
Yeah, it is a year. It's not a month. Giant Burger corrects me there. It's 1,000 babies a year they can have.
It would also make Shepherds. Yeah. Kate's made a very good point there.
You need to read it out because obviously the people on the podcast won't be able to hear.
I'm sorry. You're right. It would also make Shepard's efforts and Rex's efforts null and void and prove that Solarian Dalatras right. We can't have that. Yes. It's a very good point. But also at the same time, let's be honest, almost no one likes the Dalatras, right? Wouldn't it be so much more interesting if you could go back to Mass Effect 3 knowing that she was right all along? That would give you a whole other perspective on the whole argument. Like, it would be... I mean, it's a controversial topic from the get-go, but it would just... It could make you rethink the whole thing. And, who's to say that just because they're the enemy in the following game, that you can't make peace with them in the end anyway, That there isn't eventually a peaceful solution again.
Carla's come up with an interesting question. Do you think they'll have to canonize an ending?
See,
I know for me, I know it'll upset people, but I think that they do. I think they're going to have to pick one because I'd hate to see them do a Deus Ex situation, whereas in Deus Ex 2, they said I think it's 3 endings from the original game. They said all 3 endings happened. And then they kind of made some kind of wishy-washy way of kind of saying, yes, you reprogrammed. I can't remember what the endings were now. There was like 3 different
I haven't
endings.
played it yet, so.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm glad you
There's
can't
3 different
remember.
endings to it. And yeah, the Deus Ex 2 said, yeah, all 3 had ending in it. It's just a bit silly. I think one of the ways around it is that you set it so far in the future that none of the original cast there, or maybe you still got like Liara and Rex, who know exactly what happened, but the people of that time that are in the future, that they don't know what happened, and it's all legends. Some people said that, the shepherd made everybody, synthesized everybody, and some people say no, shepherd, the shepherd took control of the Reapers and saved the earth that way, and no, and it's all lost in legends sort of thing. So nobody really knows what happened apart from like Liara and Rex, and they won't say because reasons.
Good reason.
Yeah.
But
yeah, there's only like a handful of people that know the truth, sort of thing.
What exactly happened with synthesis then? Did everyone just randomly devolve? Like, did we sort of, the equivalent of, not evolving, going back down to being, because we were these overlord synthetic organic beings in synthesis. We were a combination of, I don't know what I'm saying, I mean, like the human race was a combination of synthesis and organic. How do you go from that to just being organic again? Because they have green eyes and everything. You can literally see that everyone's changed. So
yeah, but that's in that's in the immediate, isn't it? I mean, if you like I say, you set it so far in the future, maybe you do 600-700 years in the future, evolution's kicked in or something, and as the generations have moved on, less and less of those green eyes and electric circuit arm things, they've kind of diminished, so you look human again. And then obviously, depending on your choices in the game, they're quite good at doing those questions at the very start, kind of set your game world up. It could be that if you what ending did you choose, sort of thing, and if you chose synthesis, then you get, I don't know, a techie bonus or something.
I feel like it had such an evolutionary difference though that it deserves more than just or you get a tech power bonus. You get extra damage on your inferno thingy, whatever it is.
When you go to use your arm or something, you go to use a button or something, your arm kind of goes blue, green for a split second.
It's like one of Glyph's pointless upgrades. You get a 2% increase. Worth it.
Caligari says I think that's why they lean towards a massive time jumps to Andromeda. It's easier, including all the endings and choices would make the game massive. Exactly. Which why Andromeda was such a great get out clause for it. If they've left at the middle of Mass Effect 2, they don't know what the ending is. It's now in a different galaxy, 600 years in the future. Yeah. Perfect. It was an absolutely perfect way to carry on the story and not upset people.
My name is Scott Ryder, Tom Taylorson, calling in for the Andromeda Galaxy, and you are listening to the Lazarus Project podcast.
I think the trailer with Liara implies they've decided on a canon ending. which looks like Destroy.
Yeah, I think that's what they need to get. I mean, like I said, it was going to upset people, but I think
mean-
they need to pick it. And I think Destroy makes the most obvious sense for games going forward.
It does. And also, I don't know how many people played Life is Strange, but depending on choices at the end of that game, obviously there's only 2, but in the scenario where you choose what I perceive as the wrong choice, but some people perceive it as the right choice, but at the end of that game, there's a comic series that presumes that that's canon. And it's also actually, we've seen it in Dragon Age as well. Dragon Age has assumed that certain choices are canon in the comics. So I know talking a sequel game is a bit more of an extreme, but I'm just saying we've seen it before. You know, the developers have decided on a canon so that they can continue a story in the past. You know, with, I believe it was Alistair being king.
Yeah. Giant Burger says you can have a world with all 3 just no. No.
But what would you do? Like, if the Reapers are controlled, or if the Reapers are just still around, would you just say that they went off to dark space? They just come back every Christmas? Like, you need some kind of consequence to that. You still need the Reapers to be around, because otherwise you don't feel there's any weight to the choice.
Maybe could do an end. Kate says maybe they could do an Avengers Endgame where someone is trying to stop or kill Shepard, and you're sent back to save him. Time. Oh no! See, time travel.
Yeah.
You get into I love time travel. Absolutely love it, but you get into so many awkward moments with it, and a lot of
Hasn't seen Doctor Who.
no.
Sorry.
But yeah, there's so many paradoxes can be done with time travel. I actually thought I have thought of doing a Doctor Who, starting a Doctor Who run.
Oh yes, you have to.
I'm in the
start
middle
with
of
New
a
Who,
Star Trek run at the minute.
Yeah.
I've never watched all that, so I've started with that, going through that.
Sorry, I have to say,
I'm nerding out now. Sorry,
Carla, I agree. I feel that kind of
what do you agree with?
I agree with all of it.
Podcast people.
Yes, I'm reading it. Don't worry, Tim. I don't want time travel, multiverses, or wormholes personally. Carla, I couldn't agree with you more, because Marvel just kind of, I think, it's oversaturated that, and I just don't think people care so much about multiverses at the moment anymore, because it's just all too large scale, I think. And I think it's the same thing with Mass Effect, like we've been saying. And we just need to downscale it more, I think. That's just me personally.
Maybe there's a world, there's a multiverse world that hasn't got onto the trend of multiverses.
Oh, sorry, Kate. Kate says I was only joking with time travel. Wasn't a serious suggestion. But yeah. Why not? Why don't we just have anyone who's seen Endgame? We just have Scott's van in space, and then they travel through that. A flying van in space to help them time travel. Yeah, it's kind of funny how often they resort to time travel sometimes when they run out of when any company, any studio runs out of ideas. Yeah.
So, what was your predictions for N7 Day?
Yeah, predictions for N7 Day. You know what? I'm glad we had this tangent, because this has been a very interesting discussion. I'm going to go. I went with the kind of wackiest predictions possible, because I just think they've got to be spectacular. And I'm not saying they've got to, give us the game now, because they really, really won't. But dare I say it, a Mass Effect TV show announcement. We've seen so many game adaptations very recently. Five Nights at Freddy's, The Last of Us. So many ones that have been done well recently, and I think it's again delving into canon. But whether it's a TV show that's just about First Contact War, or if it's a TV show that's very Star Trek-esque, where they're just exploring different planets, it's just a whole different crew of a whole different ship. There's just so much you could do with that. And also it kind of reminds those Mass Effect fans that, hey, we're here. And, we remember Mass Effect exists, despite, being very quiet, despite the one trailer and the teasers. But, you could do what Dragon Age did. Dragon Age Absolution. They've made that series to set up the next game. This could be a series that sets up the next Mass Effect game. Because God knows there are going to be questions about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I quite like that, actually. If it was, but it's like an animated thing, or would you prefer a live TV show?
I personally would like live action, just because I think it would be too cool to. The idea of a live action Mass Effect series, I'm sorry, I'm just too giddy with that idea. I don't know. What do you think? Would you prefer an animated series?
I think an animated series, yeah, myself.
Yeah. There is the Amazon show. We don't necessarily know that it's actually, we don't know that it's actually happening via Amazon now, do we? Because wasn't that Amazon show announced ages ago? Sorry. It's all right, Chris. To be honest, we didn't really know we were doing this until about an hour ago. 2 hours ago now, actually. Yeah. So Carla says, okay, yeah, I think that rumored Amazon show might be announced too. BioWare needs a big win right now. Yeah, they really do. And also the best part about doing things that way is that they don't need a developer team to do it. They just need somebody to outsource to. And as much as we want as many reliable minds on this as possible, so many reliable minds have already kind of left BioWare. But then we're kind of raising the question of, do we know if a Mass Effect series would be good? But you never know. Maybe that's why Matt Quarters left. I don't know. I mean, he was very much on board with it, according to an interview that I saw earlier today. It was an old interview, but I don't know. It's a crazy prediction.
Hollywood Guys predicts Lara has a vision of Shepard, making everyone believe that Shepard is alive.
What? That's kind of muddled my mind a bit. Liara has a vision of Shepard, making everyone believe that Shepard's alive? Oh, sorry. I misread that. Well, yeah, that could lead into Tim's theory about a certain character being a certain villain that's quite controversial. You know what I'm talking about, Tim?
No.
Your theory that Liara could be the villain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they won't do it.
But yeah, having a crazy vision would be a good way of doing it. Yeah. Also, you know what? It makes me think of, I don't know how many people played Halo 5, but it does make me think of Halo 5.
I'm not playing that.
Well, I know a lot of people don't like Halo 5, and I don't like Halo 5, but Chief had a vision about Cortana, and then kind of it led him on this whole journey. Anyway, you want to read this one, Tim?
Carlos says, I would definitely see a series like The Expanse or I'd like an animated or a live action, but I think live action show would make aliens look weird as hell. Wasn't there a big there's a big controversy with the Obi-Wan show, wasn't there? Because the head Inquisitor,
The Grand Inquisitor.
the Grand Inquisitor looked nothing like the comics, did they? And people were really angry about that.
Well, he didn't look anything like the series version.
Oh, the series,
version, the animated
comic.
series, yeah. But that wasn't the only problem with the Obi-Wan series. There was way more than just that one problem. Like, yes, the aliens might look a little weird as hell, but to be perfectly honest, I would like to see modern day CGI attempt a Krogan. Like, seeing a gruff, realistic looking Krogan, I just think that would look awesome. That's just me, but I think it could look awesome.
Giant Burger agrees. Says that live action would be a bit like cosplay.
We don't know until we see it. No, we don't know until we see it. If we see it.
Carl again says the head of Dragon Age worked very closely with Netflix to create Absolution, which I think would be the case again. That they need to do that, absolutely. Wasn't it the director of The Last of Us worked on the Last of Us TV show? The
lead writer from Naughty Dog and the lead writer of Last of Us worked with the writer of Chernobyl. Yeah, they co-wrote it, I think. And I think Craig Mazin, who is the Chernobyl guy, I think he directed it as well. He co-wrote it with Neil Druckmann, but yeah, he also directed Last of Us, I believe. But
so you get somebody that close to the source material, you're onto a winner, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, they made Mario work. They can make Mario work, Anything's possible.
Then you go complete the opposite with the Witcher TV show, and you get people going, "Yeah, I want to do it this way," and it's like, well, that's nothing like the books and stuff, and
yeah.
I switched off after the first season of that.
I thought it was a bad sign. I couldn't get through season 3. I just fell asleep. I just couldn't. I don't know. It wasn't right to me.
The Hollywood guy agrees with me. So I believe that Lara can be the villain.
Yeah. I mean,
problem with that is what Matt Walters said to us, though, and I can see his point. When we interviewed him, he says for everybody that hates a character, you're going to have somebody that likes them.
Mm-hmm.
So you're Liara. People love Liara. How are you going to then turn Liara into a villain?
And then also, yeah, they're even less so going to do it as well if they're coming off the back of the Andromeda controversy. Yeah, Chris, I have, yeah, but there is a difference between a cosplay and CGI, though. And as much as, everyone can make the argument, and I too could vouch for it, that, practical is usually better than CGI. But when it comes to Krogan and it comes to, brain fart on Garrus's race, Turians. When it comes to Turians and it comes to Krogan, CGI is kind of the only way to do it, at least in my opinion. That was literally what I was talking about, Chris. That's literally what I meant. It would certainly be interesting, but didn't that happen in Halo? Cortana turned evil. See, I read it that time, Tim. But yeah, that was what I was trying to say. Like they did something like that because he literally had a vision. He had a vision of Cortana chased after her, and Cortana was evil. That's all right. I think we've all had a long day. Live action would be extremely it would be extremely expensive to make due to CGI and special effects required. But yeah, it would look sweet. And how different would it be to the budget of, say, Game of Thrones? Like, that show's kind of proven that, money's no object if you can get the viewership. It's a big risk. I think it is a risk because I don't know the numbers from Dragon Age Absolution, but I know I have a few personal friends who played Dragon Age who didn't bother with the show. So are you going to be sure that every Mass Effect fan is going to watch a TV show? Because, we're gamers, aren't we? We don't all watch stuff and play games. So it's a gamble.
See, that's the problem. The problem I've had with like the Resident Evil adaptations and stuff, because if you think about it, you're appealing to the gamers because they love the game, but you've also got to make it available for non-gamers to get into.
Yeah.
But then, do you retell a story that's already been told because that's what drew the gamers in the first place? Or do you do something new? But then,
well, the thing is, if you're not having Shepard as the protagonist, if you're having a story that sets up whatever the next game is, the next game, I would assume, has to work for people who are first playing Mass Effect for the first time as well. Because I think a lot of people who pick up that game aren't going to have played a game that came out presumably 10 years ago. Because let's assume that the next Mass Effect game comes out 2026. People who pick up the next Mass Effect game aren't going to, say, oh, I'll pick up that game from 10 years ago, so I can catch up. Oh, wait, there's more games? Oh, those more games came out 10 years before that? Like, you've got to make a story that, people can just pick it up and play it and understand what's going on. So a TV show's got to do the exact same thing. That was a bit of a ramble, sorry. But you've always... They've got to assume anyway that people don't know the story. And I think I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but there are, I think, examples of shows that have done that, or movies or something that have done that. You have existing source material, but you don't have to have seen that existing source material.
Carlos says games marketings are like 75% geared towards new fans and 25% towards returning fans. A show like that, show would be like that for sure.
Yeah. And I think if you think about Mass Effect 1, we weren't thrown into Mass Effect 1 during the First Contact War. We weren't thrown into Mass Effect 1 during the Geth-Quarian War, the Geth-Quarian conflict. We were thrown in with all of that history just sort of fed to us as we played the game. And somebody who's just watching the show for the first time or playing the new game for the first time, they're going to be fed that information just like we were when we played the first game. So, it might be slightly different in how you do that in a TV show, but you still have to do it,
Okay. Time to wrap this up.
I still had some more.
Oh, did you?
I still had some more predictions.
I thought we were just going off topic. And to be fair, the TV show thing could be the next time we sit down and have a chat. We could re-go over. I know we've done a podcast on it, but we could do another live episode about a TV show and when would you like set and that sort of stuff, and get people's opinion on that way.
Yeah. But if you do want to wrap up soon, can I just go through my list?
Yeah, sure.
I can be very quick if you want to wrap up soon.
I thought we were just kind of going off of topic and a bit of a ramble, so I thought we were.
New Mass Effect comic series. bit more likely.
I think it's. I don't think it would be. I think it's too early for that.
Okay, but still possible.
Still possible. To be honest, I think it's going to be more concept art, maybe, or
an announcement of a comic series.
announcement. Yeah, I suppose it could happen. I mean, they did work quite well, and they did do the comic series for Mass Effect way better than they did Dragon Age. Because it doesn't touch any of your decisions, so it really just complements and expands the universe rather than saying, "Yeah, this happened," and whether you like it or not. So.
My one issue with the Mass Effect comics, though, was that they didn't explore just unique stories. Like, it would have been nice to just not be shown stories we'd already heard about in the games. Like, I started this fan fiction, right? And this is a little bit of a tangent, but I started this fan fiction about two brothers who were just trying to survive the Reaper War together, and one of them ended up converting to Cerberus because they were desperate. But something like that, something that adds new characters to the lore, I think that could be that to me is more exciting than just seeing a story we've already heard about. You know?
See, that's why one of the reasons why I really liked. I think there's a Foundation comic.
Oh, there is a comic.
Because because you'd see about Brooks, and you get all of her backstory, which you only really meet in the Citadel DLC.
Yeah,
but she's such an interesting character, and it ties nice. It kind of weaves in and out of the games that you've played and stuff. But it is, it's all like an original story in that, and just little things like, she's the one that got all your dossiers for Mass Effect 2 for your, recruiting your team and stuff. You go into the game, all the information there, you can go into your pause menu and you find the information of the characters that you're going to go and recruit. She's the one that compiled all that, but you don't think of that when you're playing the game. You kind of...
I hate to correct you, but I think she did say she did that in Mass Effect 3.
Did she?
Yeah, I think she did.
No.
But yeah, that's a good example. I mean, it would just be nice to see a completely unique character, though. One that you would only know about because Star Wars does that all the time. Characters that you wouldn't meet anywhere else in the comics. Like, expand the universe more, yeah. Carla's backing me up here. But yeah. Okay, do you want to hear the next one?
Yeah.
So, I literally wrote new vague trailer. So, I just felt like that Liara trailer was vague. It didn't show us really anything new, that trailer. Climbing over Reaper dead corpses, we kind of knew Reapers were gone. Didn't really say anything new other than Liara was back. Like, they could so easily just release a trailer that's shrouded in mystery and not really giving us any answers, Like, they could have one idea that they just threw out there like a year ago, and they've turned that into a trailer because they've settled that that's going to be in the script. That's something that, they could act that out and whatever you call it, motion capture. They could do something along those lines. Probably less likely though, but
I think Liara will be in it again.
I mean, probably, because then it means they don't have to announce something. I mean,
yeah, to be fair, I think any trailers leading up to the game would just have Liara in it because they'd want to keep the rest of the crew as secret as possible.
Because I think they've actually, as much as you and me both hate it, I think they've hinted all too much that she's looking for Shepard. Whether Shepard's alive or not, the N7 logo kind of proves she's looking for Shepard. And so that could be a series of trailers, you know?
Doesn't necessarily mean that Shepard's alive. It might be something that
It might be Carl the N7 or Bob the N7. Tim the N7.
yeah, Conrad.
Yeah. Liara had that crush on Conrad all along. Lost love. New book series.
Again, I think it's too early for it.
Okay. I think my
I mean,
last
it's
one
my
we kind
opinion, but you might be, you
Yeah.
might be completely right. But
yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be a book that's setting up the next game, though.
no, I mean, they did quite a few in between, didn't they?
Yeah.
The Deception and Revelations and
Like we were saying about one-off stories, a book about a character in the First Contact War. You know?
yeah, I mean, they had Paul Grayson, didn't they? That's a character you'll only know from the books. He's never in one of the games.
But yeah. But yeah, if they are looking for Shepard's body, though. Oh, sorry. I think. Well, I'll come back to you. Don't worry, mate. I think the N7 helmet was Liara reminiscing and remembering. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I didn't think of it that way. It is kind of. It could just be a trailer that's symbolic. You know, we're dusting off the ashes of an old memory, and you know, it's like she might as well have been dusting off like her old Mass Effect gaming case or something, you know, a disc case of the Mass Effect game, just dusting off the case of her game and just being like, yeah, it's time to play Mass Effect again. You know, it's that kind of thing. You know, it could just be symbolic if it's coming back. You know, that's a very good point. Did I read that out? I should have. Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Hollywood guy says, Tim, would you hate it if Shepard comes back? Yes, I would. Yeah. I think his or her story is done. And the galaxy is big enough now to tell other stories. There's a room there. There's plenty of room there for a new hero to rise.
Just to maybe they're just looking for Shepard's body. See if that was. If
it
that
could be like Metal Gear. One of the demands in the very first Metal Gear was Big Boss's remains. They needed his body. So it could be a case of they need his body for his or her body for some reason.
Build a new Reaper.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like there has to be more payoff, personally, than just a body. But yeah,
Carla says a smile on her face, on Liara's face in the trailer. It feels more like good memories. Glad I found this. Not aha, I found something. Yeah, there's that kind of glint in her eye, isn't there? She's definitely. It could, I suppose, it could look, it could look either way, couldn't it? Really, there's the look that she, happy memories of Shepard, or it could be that she's dusting something off and
winks to the camera, like we're coming back.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it could be that she's in the right place, and whatever she's looking for, she knows that she's She must be close because of what she's just found. Which then takes you back to the. I mean, it might even be something like she needs something from the original Normandy, because that crash landed on an ice planet, didn't it? And you can actually find your helmet if you go there in Mass Effect 2's DLC. You can actually find your helmet there, which then you put as display on your in your cabin. So it might be something that she needs from that original Normandy. Finding the helmet piece, it's like, oh yeah, I'm in the right area and I know the right place, and happy memories of Shepard.
The thing is, if she was just looking at a reminder of Shepard, I don't think she would be happy. I think she would be sad.
But Carla points out another very good point. It could mean anything at this point of year. We know nothing. Hopefully, we'll get some info in about 5 days' time.
Who knows?
Do you have anything left on your list?
I had the Mass Effect game name, but we kind of already talked about that. So
yeah, I think it's way too early. What was it? The Dragon Age one? I mean, that was almost in alpha before they named it, didn't they? I don't know what they were calling it before. Was it just Dragon Age 4?
Yeah. I mean, people were just calling it
Project
Dragon Age
name,
4.
isn't it? The Joplin or something. That was one of them, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I think the name is going to come way later. That. So.
But in terms of if you had to give 3 that you think were the most likely to happen, out of the things we've talked about, 3 things that they could release that you think would be likely.
Concept art. Probably a very short teaser. Something with, again, just Liara. Given like a cryptic clue.
Yeah.
Talking about something that's happened, or her internal monologue or something about a decision she's got to make or something like that, to give you kind of that suspense feeling. There's like, well, what does she mean? It's something, maybe something like, this is something that I have to do, or if I don't do this now, the entire galaxy could be at risk, or just something like that, very small, but it gets you talking, and like, what is she talking about? What is she having to do? What kind of sacrifices is she going to have to make?
Yeah.
Get the conversation moving, that sort of thing. And probably like another developer blog or something, where they talk about maybe like a couple of the developer interviews or something for the website, where they give you like updates of where they're up to, and again, nothing concrete, but just say, look, we are working on it, and we've just we're on like developing our 3rd new planet for you to explore, and that sort of thing. So it'll be very minimal. I think it'll be very minimal, but there'll be just something small in there that's going to pique people's interest and get people speculating on YouTube. So you're going to have speculation videos all over the place of people saying, what is she talking about? What's she going to do? What could this mean for the future of Mass Effect? That sort of thing. What about you? What were your top 3 things?
My top 3. Probably another soundbite. And I am going to say a comic series. Just because I'm hopeful that they're going to do something with external material. I mean, I am hopeful, and genuinely think it could happen, because in their current state, they've got to do something. I think they know that. And that's why my other one is the TV show. I think that rumor's not even a rumor. It's been like right in our eyesight, like with the whole thing about Henry Cavill's document with the Korean War thing and whatever. Like, there is just so much like credence. I don't know what credence even means, but there's just so much support. So there's so much material to support that it was at least happening at one point, that we just can't discredit it or discount it for existing, at least at one point or another.
And this, I think, it's definitely something they should do. And Kate says maybe they should announce the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer coming to the Legendary Edition. Not very likely, though.
Do you know what? I would really like if those horrible, frustrating issues we've been having with multiplayer, where we can't invite each other, was because this whole time they were hoodwinking us and they were just preparing to move things over. Wouldn't that be nice if our suffering was actually for a
well,
apparently
they have fixed the invite thing. So
okay,
yeah,
never mind.
Might try it out.
I suppose I could have only hoped, but I don't know. It's a small thing, though. It doesn't seem like something that should take that much effort to do, to put into Legendary Edition. You know,
you wouldn't have thought so, but
no.
It's more work they're not going to get any payoff for it. People aren't going to pay for it, and they're not going to maintain servers and stuff like that. So there's no return on it, is there?
Or maybe just releasing it as a separate, just sort of free to play game, like Fortnite or something. And then, because then what you could do is you could still monetize it and say you can buy packs with this, but you can also do what you always do. And then maybe they get some money on the side as well to help support them. Like, I don't know.
But again, we're going off on a bit of a tangent there. So I think we will wrap it up there for this evening. But I've enjoyed this. Just chatting with you guys in the chat. Chatting with you, Kraig, as well. I think we should do some more of these, you know?
Yeah.
Pick if you've got ideas for topics for us, then yeah, make sure you pop it down in the chat or in the comments, and we'll just kick back, relax. I mean, we're going for like an hour and 40 minutes now, so
everyone feel free to tweet me though when one of my predictions ends up being right. So wouldn't that be nice? Can you imagine if I was right in a TV show announcement? That'd be so cool. Yeah, it was very nice chatting with you. I'm gonna try it. Is it Elpapage? Is it Apelpage? Applepage? Is it Apelpage?
But yeah, they say it's fun. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, so excited for N7-Day. Countdown is on. It's not long now. Oh, that's a good idea, Kate. N7-Day bingo sheet for predictions.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Kate. It was good chatting with everyone.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
It's been nice. You know, I personally haven't played Mass Effect much recently, but it's just nice to chat about it, isn't it?
I see. I'm actually playing Andromeda at the minute, so I'm determined to finish it.
Can we get an applause from everyone collectively in the chat?
That's right. I have a Mass Effect channel, and I still, to this day, have not finished Mass Effect Andromeda. Shameful.
But you're getting there.
But yes, Kate, thanks, guys. Should do this after N7-Day. Absolutely. That we should do. We should plan it in for next week. Carla, Kate, if you want to come on, I don't know if I can do all 4. We'll work that out. But yeah, if we want to, we can jump in and out and stuff. Have I played?
One step at a time. One step at a time.
I've actually just reinstalled Origins as well, though, because I do want to make some Dragon Age videos. So yeah, I've just reinstalled that. So I'm going to run those 2 games together.
How many times have you played it?
Well, Origins.
Yeah.
I've done all the Origin stories at least once, and the human. I preferred the human origin story. I've done that at least 2 or 3 times.
See, I've never gone through a human playthrough.
Have you not?
Yeah, I mean, I find the elves interesting. I find the dwarves interesting. I just don't find the humans interesting.
No, you see, to me, the whole I can't remember what his name now. The guy that Tim Curry voices, his Ren How. I can't know. It's How.
Oh, All How, yeah.
All How. That was it.
Yeah, Rendon How, I think his name is.
Yeah, I think his whole subplot works way much better if you're human.
Yeah, I do know his involvement. I've played the origin story for the human. I just not gotten far with the main story with the human.
So Kate, yeah, up for a chat afterwards. Cards up for chocolate. Fabulous. Yeah, we'll get something planned in because I should imagine it's going to be interesting. And whatever they put out on N7 Day, it's going to be interesting. We're going to have stuff to talk about.
Oh yeah, it'd be very disappointing if they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think somebody mentioned it earlier in the chat. Actually, I think the cast and crew are doing a reunion, another reunion thing that they do.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
love that.
Yeah, we live streamed, I should imagine. So we can have a chat about that if you watch it as well.
Yeah.
And Hollywood Guy has a suggestion for the next chat. Could be Dark Energy, if it will be in the new game. Might not be, but would be quite cool.
Yeah, possibly. Could do.
Okay. So we'll be back on Saturday for some Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Will you be there this weekend?
I'll have to check that, but I think so.
So, but yeah, be this Saturday. So hope to see you then. And big thank you to everyone in the chat for coming and hanging out with us and chatting with us. It's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you to Kraig for the chat.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll say goodbye to a few people in the chat while I find the button. We'll see you next time.
Commander.
Commander.
If you have any comments, questions, or ideas about future episodes, please feel free to send us a tweet at Lazarus Podcast on X or Twitter. Or if you'd like to stay in touch with us personally, you can find Tim at Ploppy54 on Twitter, or you can find me on Twitter at the tag at Kraig and his Mac. And please do feel free to leave us a 5-star rating. It would make a huge difference in helping us reach more Mass Effect fans like you. Thank you very much for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Lazarus Project, where me and Tim will be chatting to none other than Scott Ryder, aka Tom Taylorson. Happy N7 Day, everyone.